The story begins with Sakuto Takayashiki, who lands himself a girlfriend for the first time in his life. He can't believe his fortune for scoring such a wonderful girl, and never in his wildest imagination did he picture himself juggling two relationships at once. He attends Arisuyama Academy, a school from kindergarten to high school. Talk about a one-stop shop for learning. Imagine accidentally joining Hogwarts, but getting a cafeteria instead. He enrolled there in April that year as a transfer student. Thankfully, he is relatively invisible to his classmates, as he prefers to keep a low profile. He believes that a nail that stands out always gets hammered, so he doesn't show off. Big brain move. Blend in like a chameleon with Wi-Fi. Later, when the midterm results are displayed on the board, he finds out that he has secured 8th position in it. He is relieved that at least he is among the top 10. A young girl calls out to him to talk for a bit. Plot twist. Being average suddenly gets you famous. He addresses her as Yusami and greets her, but the girl seems super mad at him as she refuses to accept his greeting. He wonders why she is being so pouty, but she denies it completely. It is revealed that Chikage Yusami secured first position in the entrance exam and is quite diligent. When someone's that perfect, even Google asks for tips. He knows her from their time at cram school and junior high and is aware that she was a hardworking student. He believes that it is because of her consistent efforts that she has achieved such extraordinary results. He feels that she is a strong role model of immense persistence. Basically, she's a walking how-to-adult manual. Currently, she expresses her dissatisfaction with the midterm ranking. He informs her that he got 8th place and then congratulates her for securing first place. She frustratingly refuses to accept that, so he expresses astonishment that she is not happy about it. Some people cry over first place, some cry over missing fries. She explains that she is not talking about herself, but she feels that he didn't work hard enough. Sakuto is puzzled because, according to him, 8th position is not bad at all, but she thinks that he hasn't used his full potential and could have easily secured the first position. She complains that he deviated on purpose, when your definition of trying is just showing up. He sheepishly confesses that he wasn't able to complete the enormous number of questions in time. She stares at him suspiciously, making him uncomfortable, so he decides to change the subject by mentioning the Karaoke set meal. When she gives him a puzzled gaze, he explains that Karaoke is being served as that day's daily special at the school cafeteria. Nothing fixes tension like fried chicken. He insists that it tastes really good. He sweetly invites her to have lunch with him that day. Yuzami flushes at his invitation and doesn't know whether to accept or reject, since she has already brought a lunchbox with her, but wants to have lunch with him as well. Nothing says romance like sharing lunch, not your secrets. He anxiously wonders whether his offer has infuriated her. But blushing hard, she expresses her thoughts that only couples have lunch together. He realizes that in order to have lunch together, they have to become a couple. Lunch, the gateway drug to dating. Yuzami goes cookie on his idea of wanting to date her. He quickly clarifies that by saying that dating together is a hard price one has to pay for having a mere school lunch together. Yusami is embarrassed to the core and then yells in irritation that when a man and a woman are having lunch together, it appears to the rest of the world that they are dating. Dating, now served with a side of miscommunication. He ponders hard and reckons that she is right, as one actually stands out in the cafeteria having lunch alone. Also, they may be falsely labeled as a couple if spotted in the cafeteria like that. He regrets inviting her in the first place. Note to self, invisibility cloak still sold out online. He recalls his ideology of being invisible to other people. But she smugly points out that those labeled as a couple by others actually become one in reality. He apologizes to her for inviting her so recklessly and promises that he will invite her again some other time. As he is about to leave, she abruptly tries to stop him and accidentally collides with a random kid. Bonus points. Accidental dodgeball champion. Involuntarily, she swings towards Sakuto and jams with him in an embrace. A relieved Sakuto inquires about her well-being, and a completely shaken Yusami assures him that she is okay. He notices the two aloof guys she accidentally bumped into, and after a while he realizes that he is holding her too close. Awkward level, hugging.x encountered an error. He quickly releases her like a hot potato, apologizing to her immediately. As he leaves, with an embarrassed smile, he warns her to be careful the next time, and poor girl nearly dies with shame. After school, Sakuto recalls the moment he accidentally hugged Yusami and tries to convince himself that the situation became so sudden that he couldn't help himself. Instant replay in your head, cringe edition. He is slightly anxious about making her a little uncomfortable and decides to throw another apology at her in their next meeting. As he is passing through the hallway, he is shocked to see Usami in an entirely different outfit and having a grave expression. He is surprised to see her creep into the forbidden game center, but then shrugs off the thought that she might be her lookalike. When Fashion Sense comes with Mystery DLC, still not convinced, he wonders if he should confirm his doubts. He carefully sneaks into the game center, where a crowd has gathered at one spot. On a closer look, everyone has surrounded an arcade game. Arcade, where egos level up faster than skills. He looks here and there for Usami when he hears someone being lauded for creating a hat trick and winning the game. Sakuto is startled to find out that the amazing kid is none other than Usami, expertly controlling the game. He calls out to her in an alarmed tone, making Usami notice him immediately. Plot twist. Nerd Alert turns pro gamer, but she quickly diverts her attention towards the game, apologizing to him. A bewildered Sakuto tries to explain, but she firmly tells him to play on the other side and clearly mentions that she doesn't want to be disturbed. Sakuto is confused by her strange behavior, but he sighs and suggests they can talk if he wins. Competitive love. May the best button masher win. She calmly wonders if he's trying to flirt. He tries to respond, but quite abruptly, she exclaims delightfully about winning the round again. Finally, Usami turns towards him and accepts his condition. She wins again. Next round, his heart. Soon, the game begins, and it is quite an exciting start for her. But to her immense shock, he knocks her down. She is quite impressed by his unique technique of playing the game and thinks that he is quite strong. She expresses her curiosity about whether he has played the game before. Pro tip: flailing wildly counts as strategy sometimes. He admits that he had played it ages ago, so when she offers him her hand, he slightly slips into nostalgia about a young girl inviting him to play by offering him her hand. He is brought back to earth by Usami, reminding him of what he wanted to ask. Memory lane, now with 100% more awkwardness. He apprehensively points out that she appears quite different from what she is at school. He is doubtful about her being the real Usami-san. She coughs and tries to create a diversion. Classic suspicious cough move activated. She firmly asks whether he has some business with her. After some jibber-jabbering, he comes to the point, inquiring about the purpose of her presence in the game arcade. She gleefully terms the experience as theory and practice, and also a way to relieve stress. Arcade therapy. Cheaper than a shrink, more fun than a spreadsheet. A suspicious Sakuto feels that this Usami seems peculiarly energetic. Nevertheless, he pays her a compliment on her cute smile, making her blush vigorously. After that, he clasps his mouth in sheer abashment, claiming it to be a slip of the tongue. Slip of the tongue, now available in blush flavor. He wonders if she is sincere about stress relief, and in turn, she asks him if he didn't like it. He insists that he likes such people. She lets out a nervous chuckle on the word like, and then, to his alarm, pulls him to a corner. Cornered like a cat, still trying to play it cool. A panic-stricken Sakuto questions her nerve, and in response, she points in the direction where the student counselor, Tachibana-sensei, has suddenly appeared in the vicinity. She playfully declares the end of their romantic meeting, and then, to his astonishment, places his hand on her cheeks, claiming that she wants to leave her fragrance on him. Note: perfume may cause accidental swooning. The poor lad nearly gets a heart attack when she makes him touch her earlobe so that he doesn't mistake her for someone else. She liberally allows him to touch it any time he wants. Lastly, she gives him a big goodbye hug, and before he can regain his senses, she slips away. Goodbye hugs, the ultimate cardio workout. To his dismay, he is caught by the vigilant Tachibana-sensei, who immediately recognizes him as a student of Arasuyama Academy and demands his name in class. At quite a distance, he spots Usami sticking out her tongue and making an apologetic gesture. He helplessly apologizes to the student counselor, but his mind is completely confused between the Usami at school and the one he just encountered at the game center. Plot twist: double the Usami, double the headache. He cannot figure out the true nature and behavior of her, but as usual, he decides to let go of the matter out of fear of getting hammered. He is curious whether he will be able to see Usami's secret personality just like he did that day if they get closer. He is certain that he has overlooked something in this whole bizarre situation. Spoiler, he definitely did. He makes up his mind to think about the matter later when he gets to know her better. Meanwhile, Usami whistles merrily and then enters a house. She happily announces her arrival, and then, shockingly, a girl who is almost her mirror image is preparing dinner. mirror image, or evil twin. It is revealed that the girl who is Sakuto's classmate is Chikage Usami, the younger of the twins, while the one he met at the game center is the older one, Hikari Usami. Twins, nature's way of saying, confuse the poor protagonist. The following evening, Chikage sighs in distress while preparing dinner as she recalls how Sakuto had invited her to have lunch with him. Frustratingly, she regrets her decision not to accept it. At that time, she was concerned that people might perceive them as a couple. Love life stress level, over 9,000. She realizes that even if they become one, there shouldn't be an issue. With a thumping heart, she recalls the time when she accidentally collided with him and noticed that even his heart was beating furiously. She is abruptly brought back to Earth by Hikari, her twin sister, who has just returned home. Twins, guaranteed drama and unsolicited commentary. Chikage angrily guesses that Hikari bunks school to fool around as usual, and then warns her that she might fail her grade again. But Hikari is not concerned, as she claims to have calculated the number of days she can skip school and is confident that she will get through. Math skills, 100, responsibility, 0. Chikage then asks her about where she has been, so she replies that she has been in the library for a change. A suspicious Chikage immediately guesses that her elder sister has been loitering around in a gaming center, and her guess hits the target as Hikari's face brightens up in amazement. Plot twist. Library is just a fancy lie. Chikage reveals that Hikari seems so much into the games that even she gave it a try. Hikari is not surprised by her twin's ability to penetrate through her. Later, when Hikari is lying on the couch having a dreamy smile, Chikage guesses that something is cooking. Cooking or chaos? Hard to tell with twins around. Hikari admits that for unknown reasons, her heart is thumping hard. Next, she wonders whether Chi-chan is into any boy. Sakuto's face flashes in her mind, but she knows that they are not very close yet, so she states that she is trying to get to know someone for now. Upon asking, Chikage reveals his name, Takayashiki Sakuto. With rosy cheeks and a dreamy smile, Hikari strokes her left cheek and repeats Sakuto's name. Name drop level, expert, hard eyes, activated. In the meantime, Sakuto is trying to write a letter that evening, but then throws away the paper in the bin since he feels there is not much to write. It is then that his mind begins to scan through the recent events, and images of Usami flash in his mind. He is still boggled about her true nature, which was either displayed at the academy or the game center. Brain.x overloaded. 2 Usamis detected. He finds the whole thing very perplexing, and it feels to him as if he were meeting 2 entirely different personalities. Finally, he shrugs off those thoughts and calls it a night. The next morning he finds her playing volleyball, and he is quite intrigued by her beauty. Volleyball gaze, instant heart spike. Suddenly their gazes meet, and a flushed Sakuto instantly looks away. Then with some hesitation, he reveals that he hasn't mentioned anything to Tachibana-sensei about her venture at the game center. Chikage Usami is puzzled and expresses her ignorance of the matter. Secrets, volleyball, and panic, a triple threat. He tries to let go of the matter, but she insists on knowing more about it. As he draws closer to her, a frown appears on her face, and he feels something oddly off about her. He recalls how she had allowed him to touch her earlobe so that he wouldn't mistake her for someone else. He scratches his chin thoughtfully, and then, to her confusion, asks permission to check something. With a smile, he draws out his hand to touch her earlobe, but has to stop midway as she shrieks in sheer terror and abruptly pulls away. A shocked Sakuto reminds her how she has allowed him to touch her earlobe any time. Touching drama, 100% certified chaos. Chikage fiercely denies anything like that and wildly explains that this is done only when they become a couple. Sakuto is baffled because the other day, she had readily allowed him to be close to her and even hugged him, even when they were not a couple. Now Chikage only remembers colliding with him as a result of an accident, but all he remembers is Hikari hugging him tightly at the game center. Memory mix-up, twins, hugs, and confusion included. She firmly declares that she may allow touch once they become a couple. Sakuto is aware that such kind of talk in school hallways can attract unnecessary attention. And by looking at her flushed face, he can see that she is really concerned about her reputation. He realizes how thoughtful she is and readily apologizes to her. Apologies? Standard issue for surviving awkwardness. She gives a meaningful smile and repeatedly tells him that touching is allowed only if they are a couple. He smiles at her earnestly and promises that he won't be touching her again. Now his reaction is completely shocking for Chikage, so when he turns around to leave, she screams, reminding him that they can always touch once they become a couple, but unfortunately, Sakudo has moved ahead, barely listening to her. Sakudo, professional ignorer of important instructions. Later, Tachibana-sensei criticizes Chikage for wearing a hairstyle unfit for a student and urges her to fix it immediately. Chikage protests by highlighting the school rule about tying or braiding long hair for smooth studying, and insists that there is no rule about banning ponytails. Tachibana points out the rule about the non-allowance of flashy hairstyles. Flashy hair alert, chaos level rising. She emphasizes that if the teacher thinks it's flashy, then it is. Chikage retorts that she is being unfairly subjective. A mob of students has gathered to witness the interesting dialogue when a curious Sakudo wonders about the sudden chaos. Front row seats to Hair Wars, School Edition. A student informs him that after class, Tachibana-sensei suddenly began to pick on Chikage's hairstyle after class, and then the latter protested against her unreasonable criticism. Sakudo is anxious about standing up to a teacher. Even other students gossip about the unnecessary fuss Chikage is creating. Gossip level, over 9,000. Sakudo feels that she is drawing unnecessary attention to herself. It is then her words echo in his ears about him not being serious about taking the midterms. He realizes that she doesn't want to look cool or challenge the teacher, but she cannot accept nonsensical things. Coolness and logic don't always mix in school drama. Unexpectedly, he loosens the knot of his tie, intervenes between the two arguing ladies, and expresses his gratitude to Tachibana-sensei for counseling him that day. The teacher condemns him for interrupting her lecturing session. He sheepishly apologizes and explains that he spotted her and thought of thanking her on his way. Tie drama, side quest unlocked. The hawk-eyed sensei spots his loosened tie and quickly points it out to him. Sakudo quickly tries to fix it up, but then he admits that he doesn't know how to. The teacher wonders how he usually does it. Not skills, 0/10 would fail a fashion class. He explains that he lives with his aunt, and she helps him with it. Tachibana is curious about his parents, so he reveals that due to some family issues, he doesn't live with them. He mentions that he considers himself fortunate to have had a kind and passionate teacher like her. The clever guy knows the art of negotiating, which is by showing his weaknesses to the other party and flattering them. He learned that art from his aunt, who is a lawyer. He cannot believe that one day he will use it on his teacher. Master negotiator, works best with snacks and tie lessons. Sensei sighs, then offers to knot his tie. He notices that her mood takes a U-turn and turns brighter. He decides to sneak out quietly with Chikage. Tie knotting, instant mood booster. Out of the blue, Chikage yells at Tachibana-sensei for doing something questionable. When the teacher appears confused, she explains that she should only do that for her favorite men. The flustered teacher retorts at her for talking nonsensically, as she is only fixing a student's tie after all. Favorite men? Tie snobbery activated. She wonders if Chikage suspects her of being romantically involved with Sakudo. The bold Chikage challenges her if she is wrong, and the teacher readily affirms. Chikage abruptly takes the tie from the teacher's hand and insists that this is her job. Tie theft, new Olympic sport, but the teacher is not ready to give up as she snatches the tie again from her hand. Chikage becomes hysterical as she reasons that she went to some cram schools with him, and they are also classmates. Sakudo frantically intervenes to stop the two freakishly crazy ladies from nearly strangling him. Later in the locker room, he spots Chikage abashedly unable to meet his eye. Nevertheless, he calls out to her, and she readily apologizes for what happened during lunchtime. However, he blames himself for meddling in her affairs first. Locker room drama, 3D glasses required. She expresses her curiosity about why Tachibana-sensei targeted him in the first place, as she is aware that the school's rules are not that strict. Now her words strike him as if they didn't seem to be coming from a person who is regular at a gaming arcade. Still, he feels that her flashy lifestyle is difficult to blend into modern society. Arcade chick meets school rules, fashion crisis. Suddenly, she remarks upon the realization that he doesn't want to stand out in a place like this. When he is puzzled, she mentions the midterm results and guesses that he didn't take them seriously, fearing he would stand out. When a solemn look appears on his face, she instantly regrets being too straightforward and guesses that he might like being singled out like that. Standing out, apparently dangerous for your GPA and ego. Sakudo, in turn, asks her opinion about standing out, since she always tops the class. She smiles and clarifies that standing out doesn't always mean negative, although sometimes she gets affected by how people perceive her, but she makes sure that she barely shows it. Sakuto is adamant about his belief that those who stand out are bound to be hammered. Stick out your head, prepare for a metaphorical hammer. But she has a different opinion that the nail that sticks out never gets hammered, and admits that she despises losing. She declares that she is really proud of her personality, even though she is somewhat clumsy and awkward. But he refuses to accept that and wonders whether her competitive streak enables her to work so hard. Clumsy, proud, and unbeatable. Meet Chikage. She states that she has been like this from the start, but right now she wants someone else to see her efforts. A bewildered Sakuto clasps his mouth, but then recalls Chikage claiming to take over him in front of Tachibana-sensei. He wonders whether couples are supposed to have such feelings for each other, and that something is probably going on in her mind. Romantic confusion level, overclocked, but then he quickly shrugs off his thoughts. Chikage is still not convinced about the reason he interrupted the argument between Tachibana-sensei and her. With immense hesitation, he confesses that he couldn't leave her alone in distress. Hero points. 1. Embarrassment points. 100. She seems as if blood has been completely drained out of her, and swiftly turns to leave. A panic-stricken Sakuto tries to stop her, but she quickly dashes out the door. A devastated Sakuto sinks to the ground thinking about the blunder he just committed. But he is relieved that at least he took his guts out to reveal his true feelings to her. Ground-level thinking. Perfect for dramatic size. As he is about to leave, he is called by Tachibana-sensei, who bows to him and apologizes for what happened during lunchtime. She regrets her actions and claims that because of her, he was about to go viral all around. Greatly amused, Sakuto assures her that even she would have been in the paper then if that happened. Next, she wants to confirm the prevailing buzz about the mysterious other side of Chikage Usami, leaving him completely puzzled. Viral fame, not on my to-do list today. Sakuto questions if Sensei is talking about Chikage's hidden side. She is surprised that he hasn't heard about it from his friends yet. He explains that he hasn't got any friends. Friend count, 0. Sad but relatable. She clarifies that a buzz is going on about her entering the gaming arcade. He hopes it's not the person he is thinking of. Sensei mentions a couple of eerie things about Usami's behavior, like walking around, towing a doll, or answering the phone with "I am behind you." Doll plus spooky phone calls equals nightmare starter pack. Sakuto feels like listening to some creepy folklore. It dawns on him the reason why Tachibana-sensei raided the arcade that evening. Slightly abashed, she sighs and admits that she went there to check whether the rumors were true. Teacher detective. Badge not required. However, he was the only one she spotted over there. He lets out a light chuckle, and then inquires about the reason for her immense dedication to student guidance, even though many students don't favor her. He guesses that she might be doing her job. Job description: part teacher, part ninja. Sensei affirms and then enigmatically adds that there is another reason for that. Later, Sakuto visits the gaming center again, hoping to find Usami. Hikari spots him and then impulsively collides with him. Incoming collision. Hikari edition. Next, she excitedly wonders whether she nearly gave him a heart attack. She guesses that he is not the type to get startled so easily, but he admits that he was a little surprised. She peers through him and calls him dominating while pretending to be kind. Dominating yet polite. Character unlocked. When he appears baffled, she points out that just now he acted to look astonished, because he thinks the other person trying to surprise him may feel bad. Secretly, he is awestruck thinking that her sixth sense is as powerful as ever. But this time, the situation is different, and he simply chose the reaction she wanted to see, and that he feels is the normal reaction. Sixth sense, 100% effective, 0% optional. He tries to dodge her by saying that her answer is neither correct nor incorrect. As expected, Hikari is confused, but she exclaims that his reaction is kinda exhausting, as he tries to be equal to everyone and reacts keeping others in consideration. She claims that such relationships are not for her, as they can be draining. Exhausting logic level, pro mode. He protests that he finds others like jigsaw puzzles with some degree of misalignment, and he enjoys solving enigmatic puzzles. A baffled Hikari feels she has been lectured and wonders whether he is a realist. In turn, he turns her a romanticist. Puzzle theory, not included in school curriculum. They both giggle afterwards, and then, to his immense shock, she grabs his hand and places it on her ear. With a flushing smile, she declares that she really loves his hand. She flirtatiously interprets his jigsaw puzzle theory in her own way as she mentions that his hand is meant to fit on her cheek. Hand placement, officially confusing. An embarrassed Sakuda weakly protests that he had vowed to himself never to touch her again. She encourages him to let go of his fears. She acknowledges his fear of not understanding that strange feeling, but insists that if they touch each other like now, then his hesitation will diminish. Fear level 90%. Courage mode loading. Quite anxiously, Sakuda ponders whether she has forgotten their conversation in the hallway the other day. He frantically notices that she has intertwined her fingers with his and is in no mood to let them go. Finally, she decides to stop her jibber-jabbering and drags him along somewhere. Finger entanglement. Not covered in health class. When he expresses his curiosity, she informs him that they are heading towards the arcade again, and this time she is out for revenge. But he stops her in the middle and insists that he has to tell her something first. Later he tells her everything about the rumors, and she apologizes for causing trouble. Revenge plan, slightly derailed by talking. A flabbergasted Sakudo cannot understand who she is troubling, to which she playfully points to herself. He admits that she can be quite bizarre sometimes. He then remarks that she does become slightly prominent. She queries him whether standing out means having good test scores, and he mentions that they are included as well. Despite being attracted to her, he warns her against going to arcades since Tachibana-sensei is on a bloodhound trail. She mentions a rare game, Ensem 3, which is available only at the gaming arcade, so she had left with no choice. Arcade mission. Risky but mandatory. He suddenly remembers something and quizzes her on whether she just pretends to be an honor student at school. She claims that she is actually an honor student at school. Lowering her head, she unexpectedly urges him to state which version of hers he prefers the most. 2 versions, double the trouble. Diplomatically, he replies that he is fine with both. She is not very pleased with his response and terms him greedy. When he is confused, she rephrases her question. Which version of her is his type? Greedy? He just wants full coverage. He insists that both are of his type, but he is unable to take his eyes off her current version. Hikari blushes furiously at his sudden expression, but he continues, calling her dangerous when in solace as, according to him, she has the potential to mark every guy she meets. Quite amused, she clarifies that she would only do that to her favorite person. Danger rating, max, but only VIP access. Next, he asks her to answer one more question and warns her that it will be quite challenging for her to answer. Now she is not very enthusiastic about it. Nevertheless, she enjoys solving difficult problems. He mentions that she has a mystical aura around her, to which she guesses that he wants to know more about her. Mystical aura. Cheat code not included. When he affirms, she abruptly draws out her hands and embraces him, encouraging him to try figuring her out. She is certain that he can find the answer by delving into her heart and unveiling the mysteries even she cannot see. With the blink of an eye, she vanishes, leaving the warmth of her face lingering over him. Poof, and the mystery continues. The next morning, a concerned Chikage approaches him in the locker room, pointing out his pale demeanor, guessing that he might be having sleepless nights. He admits that he is having some difficulty sleeping. He anxiously points out her tomato-red face, wondering whether she needs something from him. Tomato-red alert. Curiosity level equals 100%. With some hesitation, she inquires whether he can come to the school courtyard after school. When he looks confused, she explains that she has something to discuss with him after school. She notices that his face is completely devoid of color and anxiously wants to know the reason. Yard meeting? Plot twist incoming. He quickly shrugs off her concerns and agrees to meet her after school. Later, Sakudo reaches the destined spot with a thumping heart, where Chikage is already waiting for him. He apologizes for being late, but she offers him a seat beside her. She inquires about his availability on Saturday, and on getting a confirmation, wonders whether he will go out with her. He playfully pulls her leg, and she wants to go on a real date with him, but she frantically denies it. She explains that some things cannot be explained at school, but she actually thinks that they can become really nice friends since they have become a lot closer. Friendship mode, temporarily activated. Quite amused, he agrees with her. Still, he wants to know whether she is certain about this whole thing, since people may get the wrong idea if they see them together. She snaps that she doesn't care. Nervously, she asks if he'd be bothered if people saw them as a couple. He brushes it off, saying he doesn't care about rumors, he just doesn't like attention. But thanks to her, his thoughts are heading in a new direction. He believes that how he feels about things matters to him most. He then reminds her of her advice about having the courage to face the blabbering mouths. Blabbermouths, officially defeated. He finally believes that the nail that stands out doesn't always get hammered, and it is totally okay to be afraid. She stares at him in a stupor. Meanwhile, he thinks that going out together will be a good opportunity to get to know each other better. Nail theory, applied successfully. He is very keen on taking their relationship to the next level. At the same time, she gets overwhelmed with an emotional surge. Soon they exchange numbers, and she promises that she will inform him about the date and time of their meeting. Number exchange. Mission accomplished. Next, he wonders whether she would like to accompany him to the station, and she affirms. While walking together, he realizes that when he is with her, the world appears brighter to him. At home, Hikari apologizes to Chi-chan for everything she has done until now. Now Chikage has a long list of her deeds, but she is not sure which she is talking about. Hikari mentions her visits to the arcade, which has started a weird rumor about her in the whole school. Arcade rumors, faster than Wi-Fi. It is revealed that the cheeky rumor has been accidentally linked to Chikage's reputation. She insists that she doesn't care about nonsensical things anyway, so Hikari sheepishly wonders whether she can go to the arcade again. Sheepish level, maximum, arcade mode, activated. When Chikage condemns her, she quickly regrets her decision. Chikage is curious about how she came across the rumor. A bedazzled Hikari reveals that she learned from a boy with whom she has gotten closer recently. Getting closer equals rumor accelerator. Inquisitively, Chikage wants to know about the boy's nature. Hikari predicts that he is someone who can totally understand heartbreaks and someone who makes her feel safe. Next, she playfully probes Chikage, who becomes jittery. Heartache expert. Sounds like a full-time job. Hikari reminds her about someone whom she met at cram school and even reveals that Chi-chan changed her course just to follow him. She is excited about the progress her sis is making in that line. Chikage abashedly mentions a couple of hugs that just happened accidentally. Accidental hugs, the classic plot twist. Next, she refers to the Tachibana sensei's incident where Sakuto bravely intervened and protected her. However, secretly, she knows that it happened after she nearly strangled him with his necktie. An amused Hikari cannot understand why she is talking with so many question marks. But Chikage fretfully buries her face in her hands and urges Hai-chan to understand herself. Hikari thoughtfully guesses that the person she is dating might be popular, and there is a fear that other girls might go crazy over him. She needs to be closer to him. When Chikage expresses her curiosity about her methodology, Hikari confidently declares that she will use 5 times more skinship. Skinship multiplier, engage. Chikage warns her that she would scare him away, but she insists that one needs to pounce on the prey before someone else does. A bunch of nerves, Chikage sees some truth in her sister's POV and decides to double her efforts as well. Sibling teamwork, Chaos Edition. Soon, both sisters aggressively decide to do their best. Level up, twin power mode activated. A few days later, while Chikage and Sakuto are walking home from school, he notices that they have been exchanging a lot of messages online recently. They usually talk about their hobbies and their usual day-to-day activities. He is glad that finally he is able to get to know her better, and soon their much-anticipated meeting is planned for the next day. Line chats, where secrets become legends. Sakuto is really excited about it, and then it dawns on him that they never exchanged gaming information online. Later at the gaming center, he is shocked to see Chikage clarifying someone about her identity. 2 street junkies challenge her to a match, insisting that they have been practicing a lot after their last defeat. Plot twist, arcade bosses incoming. A flustered Chikage threatens them about calling that guy if they bother her any further. The boys amusingly mock her about her boyfriend from that day. When she appears puzzled, one boy mentions how she was being chummy with Sakuto at the arcade earlier. Nice catch or chaotic match? He lauds her choice as he feels Sakuto is a nice big catch. Chikage yells hysterically at him, denying having a boyfriend. Suddenly, another boy stops his friend, suspecting that they are talking to the wrong person since she is emitting a different vibe from the person they know. Vibe check. Failed or just confusing? The first boy peers at her closely and then realizes that his friend might be true because Takayashiki's girlfriend was more cheerful. Chikage's ears prick up on hearing his name, and she queries the boys about Sakuto's personality. One boy clarifies that they had only heard his name by chance, and also he was wearing the same uniform as her. Uniform detective work, level master. They add up that he is quite lean and drowsy looking, with quite an expertise in games. They recall how close he was with his girlfriend, which was, of course, not Chikage. Suddenly, Hikari's ominous words ring in her ears about facing the consequences for not pouncing on her crush immediately. Cupid alert. incoming disaster. Her eyes well up with tears, and they begin to drip freely on her cheeks, startling the boys. They become anxious looking at her crying, but then Sakuto comes along and anxiously wonders about her well-being. The unknown guys become nervous and try to explain the situation. However, Sakuto curtly tells them to stop inviting her to the arcade since she has become a bit disturbed. Arcade diplomacy. Not in the job description. One of them apologizes frantically, trying to clear the misunderstanding, but his friend drags him away. As she wipes off her tears, a concerned Takayashiki consoles her, but then decides to move to a more isolated place. She unexpectedly places her head on his chest and begins to weep more bitterly. Chest pillow, free of charge. As she hugs him tightly, he assures her that those guys are gone and apologizes to her for arriving late. But to his astonishment, she doesn't let go of him and confesses that ever since she was in middle school, she has liked him. Now without a doubt, Sakuto had such expectations from her, but a slight uncertainty prevailed. Middle school crush, upgraded to premium edition. He wonders whether she is aware that he is being footballed by completely different personalities at school and the arcade. He has ignored the fact for some time now in order to get his mind at peace. Somehow he cannot help but notice that her confession sounds melancholic. Confession with a side of confusion. He has a nostalgic attack about her making the same confession back then, and realizes that he has made Chikage sad again. She continues how she has always mustered up the courage to talk to him, but was too embarrassed and lacked confidence to do so. He nervously apologizes and claims that he didn't notice that. She quickly withdraws, tearfully admitting that she is not attractive. However, he refutes that. She exclaims how she hated herself and then abruptly turns around to leave. He is left speechless, but unties her hair unconsciously by pulling off her ribbon as he tries to stop her. Ribbon snatch. Accidental hero move. He wonders whether he should let her go like this without knowing the whole story. He fears that if he leaves that puzzle unsolved, he would lose her forever. It is then that he glances at the fallen ribbon and picks it up. Detective Sakuto, case of the missing ribbon. He clasps it tightly in his fist and reckons that he cannot let her go like this. He rushes down the street and reaches the station, trying hard to locate her among the throngs of people. Then he analyzes that since she is from West Junior High, she might have taken the Tosa line. Public transport strategy. Expert mode. Suddenly, he sees Hikari and quickly calls out to her. When she turns around, he quickly rushes towards her, embracing her tightly. A stunned Hikari smiles blushingly and wonders what got into him. Speed hugging, new Olympic sport. He apologizes to her, stating that many things confuse him, but still, he wants to confirm one thing, that whether she is into him. A stunned Hikari is not prepared for this sudden attack, so she tries to blurt out something, but embarrassment gets the better of her. Finally, she confesses that she likes him. Blurt level, maximum. He expresses his gratitude in hopes that she is ready. When curiosity shows on her face, he stares at her passionately, secretly signaling her for something. Hikari quickly grabs his intention, closes her eyes, and lifts herself slightly. Secret signals. Handle with care. In no time, both engage in an ardent lip lock that lasts until she drops exhausted. Out of the blue, a shocked voice intervenes in the middle, wondering what the duo is up to. To their alarm, the voice belongs to Chikage, who is staring at them in a stupor. Plot twist. Twin intervention. She covers her mouth in sheer distress as she cannot believe that Sakuto is with her sister. Even he is dumbfounded to see two Usami-sans in front of him. Meanwhile, a blushing Hikari explains to her that she just kissed the person she likes, and then introduces Takayashiki to Chi-chan. Double trouble. Kiss edition. Fresh tears begin to well up in Chikage's eyes, and Hikari wonders why the blood drained out of her face. Meanwhile, the truth slowly dawns on him that both girls are twins. When both confirm, he lets out a nervous chuckle. Twins plus confusion equals classic Sakuto moment. So 20 minutes after his first kiss, a drained Sakuto is sitting like a convicted criminal in front of the two sisters at a cafe. He is very ashamed of himself for not being able to differentiate between the twins. Chikage is fuming and screams at him for making such an unforgivable blunder. Crime scene, mistaken identity edition. However, Hikari keeps her cool and defends him, stating that he didn't do it deliberately. She reveals that she had some idea that he was confused between the two of them. A shocked Sakuto confronts her for not clarifying his misunderstanding. Plot twist. Sister solidarity activated. Hikari reasons that she just played a part in the traditional twin swapping prank. Chikage sarcastically probes him about how he felt kissing her sister. A humiliated Sakuto begs her to stop. Awkwardness level, maximum. She even yells at Hikari for pretending to be her. However, with some expectation, she predicts that if she played a prank, then she might not be genuinely interested in him. But Hikari makes an explosion that she actually likes him. Love bond deployed. Both Chikage and Sakuto are shocked to the core, and then Chikage becomes hysterical, shaking her up violently and urging her to open her eyes as she is just confused. But Hikari insists that she is completely in her senses and that she has fallen in love with him. She reveals that she fumbled with him a lot to confirm her feelings, and when she was about to explain them to him, he suddenly embraced her, and then they kissed. Drama level, cafe, not a soap opera, or maybe it is. Chikage stares questioningly at him at such brazen revelations by her sister, and he secretly pleads with her not to glare at him. With a sweet smile, Hikari asks Chi-chan whether she can date the person whom she kissed. Chikage is as stunned as ever, so she emphasizes the magic in their relationship. Magic, also known as chaos energy. She protests, claiming that she was the one who confessed first, and he hugged and kissed her just because he mistook her. She reasons that technically she should be going out with him. She regrets all those mushy things that should have happened to her instead of Hikari, and Hai-chan couldn't help feeling proud of herself. Sister pride, activated with bonus guilt trip. Frustrated, Chikage grabs her sister's space and wildly declares that kissing Hai-chan would be equal to kissing him. Hikari tries to escape, and Sakuto quickly steps in to stop a scene in the cafe. The twins demand he choose between them. Choose wrong and dishes might fly. Caught in the middle, Sakuto admits he's unsure, he likes them both. The twins exchange confused looks. Twin confusion activated. He explains he's been thinking about Chikage for a while. He admires her honesty and hard work, finds her attractive, and enjoys talking with her. Her confession, he says, truly made him happy. Heart check. Full. Chikage stops him from jabbering more since her pounding heart is about to jump out. Next, he talks about Hikari, who is fun and quite understanding. He proclaims that she changed his style of thinking, and that's why he is interested in knowing her better. Brain update. Hikari version 2.0 installed. She giggles, stating that she is glad she fell in love with a guy like him. He declares that he likes both of them, not just because they are a set, but individually as Hikari and Chikage. He mentions that he can't choose between them, so he cannot go out with either of them. Decision-making, system error. Both stare at them quizzically, and then scream at the top of their lungs. Chikage insists he must choose, while Hikari just wants to know if he really likes them both. Sakuto explains his dilemma. Choosing one means hurting the other. Love triangle, explosive addition. He says he doesn't want to break their bond and suggests staying friends. But Hikari grabs Chikage's hand and proposes they both be his girlfriends. Sakuto is instantly flustered, but Hikari thanks him for choosing them both. Polyamory Crash Course, Morning Edition. She announces she'll call him darling. Sakuto cringes and turns to Chikage. Blushing, she agrees to the nickname as she uses it, but admits the idea of having two girlfriends feels a bit ridiculous. Sakuto secretly admires her for that. Darling status, activated with confusion. Hikari wonders whether she is giving up on him due to people's perception. Chikage ponders for a moment about giving up on him and quickly shakes her head. An excited Hikari takes a vote for those who approve of the twins going out with Sakuto. Voting booth chaos, unanimous. Of course, both sisters raise their hands, so it is 2 against 1. She puts responsibility on him for loving both of them equally, but he has doubts about whether he can do it since he is not God. Hikari advises him that in times like these, one seeks divine intervention. God mode. Please press start. Chikage expresses her concern that if the three of them go out together, then Takayashiki will be the one getting the most disapproving stares, so she plans to give up on him. Hikari's mind works fast, and she quickly shoots a question that if they go out together, and if someone asks Chi-chan whether she has a boyfriend, what would she answer? She replies that she will reply positively. Public opinion, overruled by twins. Next, Hikari asks the same question to Sakuto, and even he affirms. She animatedly punches her fist in the air, claiming that nobody will ever ask him how many he has. Multiple choice dating, accepted. At first, both appear confused, but then Sakuto realizes that usually people have one partner, so technically no one will ask how many he has. Even if the three of them get along, no one will suspect that they are dating. He raises another issue about people asking him who he is dating. Hikari immediately pops out a reply, it is a secret, which is not a lie if not revealed. Top secret love files, classified. She wonders why people would care if the trio is together willingly. A doubtful Sakudo thinks Hikari is completely nuts, but Chikage thinks she is a genius. After the twins concur on the idea, they turn to Sakudo for the final approval. Approval rating, 100% chaos. Finally, he gives in, proclaiming that he will try his best to love them both. Soon, they decide to return home. Hikari goes out first, so Sakudo calls out to Chikage, returning her the ribbon she dropped that day. Ribbon, returned with interest. She expresses her gratitude since the ribbon is very important to her, and then she asks him to call her Chikage from now on. Hikari comes back, hugging and declaring her love for both of them. Suddenly, she remembers something and then whispers into their ears. Whisper level, secret mission activated. Sakudo wonders whether they really have to say those words, so she insists that it will be their vow. Soon, the trio holds hands and reenacts the oath of the peach garden. Sakudo ponders that he finally gets a girlfriend for the first time in his life, and instead of one, he gets two. Double upgrade unlocked. He understands that the relationship is complex, but to be with the twins, he puts his wish into the peach of the garden imitation. Chikage reminds him about their much-anticipated meeting on Wednesday, and he assures her that he hasn't forgotten about it. Schedule, packed, but love included. Now following the rule of arriving early for a date, Sakudo arrives 15 minutes earlier, but Chikage is already waiting for him. He is surprised to see her dressed so sassily, although she looks uncomfortable in it. After exchanging greetings, he wonders about her dressing. Fashion police called, outfit confusion detected. She nervously explains that she tried to appear bold but ended up embarrassing herself. He wonders why she dressed against her comfort, so she mentions that she has dressed to impress him. He gently tells her not to force herself. Mission, impress boyfriend. Outcome, mild panic. She hides her face in sheer humiliation, regretting her decision to borrow clothes from Hikari. A smile appears on his face as he supposes that those skimpy clothes match Hikari's taste. He is perplexed that despite having a similar appearance, the twins feel so uncomfortable in each other's clothes, and he also doesn't want Chikage to wear revealing clothes to attract unnecessary attention from other boys. Clothes, twin edition, confusion, 100%. He advises her to wear something more comfortable the next time, but she doesn't want to lose to Hai-chan, who is used to showing way more skin. He warns her that such unhealthy competition will make her cross her limits. She recalls how painfully she has used bandages and tapes to perk up her curves. Still, he thanks her for putting so much effort into him. Beauty hacks. Extreme level unlocked. Soon he invites her to move along, but she shuffles something into her hair and excuses herself for a minute. It appears that an earpiece is hidden behind her hair, and someone is giving her instructions through it. So when the voice tells her to walk with crossed arms, she freaks out, but agrees anyway. Spy mode activated. She frantically rushes towards him and wonders whether they can walk with their arms crossed. Sakudo is confused but nods. She gathers her courage and links arms with him while walking. Though she feels awkward as their arms touch, she chooses not to pull away. First mission, arm lock challenge. They go on several rides and later relax with drinks. She sighs in relief, and he laughs, teasing her about her earlier screams. Suddenly, she reacts to a signal in her earpiece and excuses herself. From a distance, he hears her repeating Roger. Secret agent, still reporting. Returning, she asks to taste his drink and excitedly suggests a swap. Nervous, she stares at her own drink before loudly announcing the swap like it's a mission. He watches her take a big slurp and just shrugs. Drink swap level, extreme launch detected. Curious, he asks why she picked an amusement park. She explains it's part of her plan. Strategy, amusement park invasion. Though known as quiet and reserved at school, she loves cute and fun things and wants him to see that side of her. He smiles, happy to know her better. Secret fun side, unlocked. He suggests she show this side at school too, but she says it's not possible there. She has no close friends or family. He feels honored to be someone she trusts. He then asks when she started liking him, since they only met at cram school and lost touch afterward. Love timeline. Complicated. She narrates that when she was in summer cram school, she was staying behind since she was unable to solve a math problem. Unfortunately, the math teacher wasn't around, so she moved away from her desk to take a rest. When she got back, she was astonished to see the problem had been solved on the board. A teacher told her that Takayashiki just left the class a minute ago, so he probably solved the problem. She wondered about the kind of person he was since he seemed like a genius. Later, she noticed that he was able to solve any problem despite its difficulty level. One day, she mustered up her courage to talk to him. After the usual introductions, she wondered why he attended the faraway cram school when he was from North Junior High. Sakuta replied that he just wanted to have a normal study experience, just like others. He felt he was lucky to meet a hardworking girl like her, so he was glad he came here. She was on Cloud 9 to get noticed and lauded by him. Cloud 9. Temporary altitude increase. At the same time, she was baffled to see loneliness in those deserted eyes, and she pondered why he said, normal like everyone else. Next, she asked him about the math problem, but he deliberately played dumb and proclaimed that the teacher might have solved it. Currently, she asked him again whether he had solved the problem at that time. Plain dumb, pro level. He admitted that he couldn't walk by. The poor lad has tried very hard to camouflage that secret, but she knows that he has this habit of doing something when he lies. She admits that this habit has made her fall in love with him. Secret habits, unexpectedly romantic. She mentions his kindness and reliability separate him from others. For this reason, she was very upset when she learned he fell behind in the midterm tests. Soon, she realizes that it is getting late and urges him to get up. He asks her about that habit when he lies, but she refuses to reveal that. Soon, the sky becomes dusky, so he asks her to choose the last ride. She points at a Ferris wheel, claiming that she has never ridden it before. Ferris wheel, the last boss of the amusement park. He agrees, thinking that the view must be great from the top. Once riding it, she wonders whether he enjoyed the day, to which he states that being with her gives him a certain peace of mind. Now she expresses her pleasure, but was expecting something more binge-worthy. Unexpectedly, her earpiece buzzes again, and she frantically excuses herself. She loudly chants negative to his astonishment, and then she acknowledges by saying Roger. Next, she turns to him, clears her throat, and sheepishly tries to remind him about something he has forgotten. Mission control, still active. She mentions something he has done for Hai-chan, but not for her yet. He checks to see if it's okay to do so, and once he gets her compliance, he pulls her earlobe. When she freaks out, he mentions a charm that would have prevented him from mistaking her for others, but then it occurs to him that this is only for Hikari. She presses him to remember that there is something else that he hasn't done yet. He raises his hands and turns away, his flushed face claiming that he has no idea. An annoyed Chikage can see that he is lying again. She is a walking, talking human lie detector. Next, she comes closer to him and urges him to kiss her. So when she places her arm on the cabin wall to lock him, he becomes intimidated by that questionable position. She wildly mentions that it is an order from above to pin him down. High command. Romantic order issued. Next, she maniacally moves closer and puckers her lips, but he nervously pushes her away. She becomes sad thinking that he doesn't want to kiss her. He smiles at her and insists that he wants to kiss her, but not aggressively. Yes, he is afraid that she will gobble him up. When he mentions that he wants to do it her way, she expresses her concern about losing to Hikari. He advises her to go at her own pace. He commands her to let him lead the way since he is her boyfriend. Boyfriend GPS. Recalibrated for maximum romance. She readily gives in, and soon they embrace in a calm yet passionate lip lock. Once they are done, she asks him out again, and he readily complies. Needless to say, they kiss again amidst blaring and dazzling fireworks emitting in the dark night. Fireworks. The universe officially approves of awkward teenage romance. When the dreamy moment is over, Chikage expresses her gratitude to Sakudo and confirms whether it is Hai-chan's turn the next day, but he is not very certain about that. Ah, yes, uncertainty, my favorite mood. She anxiously asks for his opinion about why Hikari doesn't want to go to school, but even he is curious about that. She is about to uncover the secret when, unconsciously, an earphone slips out of her ear, startling Sakudo. He quickly picks it up, and instantly, a voice blares up through it, guiding Chikage that she should begin the hotel course next, and that she will be meeting her there soon. Sakudo immediately recognizes Hikari's voice and calls out to her. A flabbergasted Hikari lets out a loud groan, and Sakudo is forced to turn around. Ah, the legendary twin surprise attack. Shockingly, a disguised Hikari is hiding behind a pillar, and upon seeing him, she flees for her life. The next day, a perplexed Sakudo waits for Hikari for their date. He recalls what Chikage told him yesterday about Hikari being a genius. In middle school, she held the top position in the National Standardized Test and was awarded by the Public Interest Foundation. Hikari's secret weapon? A PhD in disguise. He wonders why, despite being so smart, she doesn't want to go to school. However, he is hesitant to ask her that day directly. Suddenly, his thoughts are interrupted by two hands covering his eyes, followed by a chirpy voice asking him to guess. Oh great, another game of Guess Who. This never ends well. He immediately figures out that the hands belong to Chikage while the voice belongs to Hikari. Both are thoroughly impressed, but he sheepishly reasons that this is because he is their boyfriend. Oh, so that's why you're the only one not getting fooled. Lucky guy. Hikari points out sarcastically that earlier, he wasn't even able to differentiate between them. Poor Sakudo is thoroughly embarrassed. Next, he wonders whether Chikage will be tagging along, so she explains that she is just following her to some shopping. Shopping, or sneaky mission, the world may never know. He smugly pulls her leg that she is actually following him around. A flustered Chikage denies the allegation, claiming that he is intentionally making her confess. Next, she stares at him, all flushed. Their eyes meet, and instantly their intimate moment flashes into their minds at the same time. She immediately lowers her gaze, with her heart pounding fiercely, when a gentle pat brings her back on her feet. Hikari reminds her that it is her turn. Chikage says she knows. Back to business, right after that heart attack moment. Hikari loudly laughs, claiming that she might be doing a lot of things with him that day. An embarrassed Chikage urges her to have a clean and proper date. Yeah, clean and proper, like the last time you guys played Guess Who. Hikari doesn't give up and continues joking around that by clean and proper, she means playing and eating together. That's a proper date? More like casual hangout with snacks. Soon, Hikari and Sakudo excuse themselves. As he says goodbye to Chikage, she frantically asks where they're going. Later, Sakudo is slightly upset because of the downpour outside. However, Hikari is not worried since they are inside. Hikari, living that I'm inside so it's fine life. He is highly uncomfortable because she has brought him to her room and is getting a lot cozy with him. Earlier, they went to have some hamburgers, and then she suggested going to the place of her choice. Sakudo obediently followed her like a dog. You had me at obediently. And now you're at her place. To his surprise, she dragged him to a residential area, and he broke into a cold sweat since he had no idea that he would end up at his girlfriend's house on their first date. She whispers playfully into his ear, wondering whether he is nervous, and he doesn't deny that. She assures him that she won't be introducing him to her parents immediately. They won't be home until late at night. Thank goodness, no parental interrogation today. Meanwhile, he can feel that even she is as jittery as jelly, and that is quite evident from her previous statement. She begins to undress herself by talking about her jacket and putting it aside. He frantically tries to question her move, but she commands him to take off his as well and gestures to show how hot it is. You can always tell a situation is escalating when clothes start getting mentioned, but he shyly refuses to do so. She remarks about him sweating heavily, but he reasons that it is his heart's tear. But she impatiently forces him to take it off, ignoring his protests. Then she tries to drown herself in his scent by sniffing his jacket. He tries to prevent her from doing something so cringe-worthy, but she announces that she really loves his scent. As she neatly hangs his jacket, she encourages him to lie down on the bed and relax while she makes some preparations. In no time, she climbs up on the bed and throws herself over him, asking his permission to begin. Oh great, now we're getting formal about this. He nervously affirms, and then she switches on a button. In no time, a beautiful starry ceiling lights up, dazzling immensely in the dark, giving out a romantic aura. She mentions that it is a home star, and then asks about his opinion. Home star? I'm just trying to stay alive here, lady. Sakudo is completely dazed by it. She claims that she loves to sleep while gazing at the stars, and Sakudo has a hard time putting perverted ideas out of his mind. But she decides to get gradually closer to him, and then awards him with a surprise peck on his cheek. And there it is, the unexpected kiss move. He looks into her lewd eyes inquisitively, so she explains that little kids' cheeks are so adorable that one really wants to kiss them. He cautiously reminds her that he is a grown-up kid, but she doesn't care. Oh sure, grown-up, but who's counting? He quickly retorts that he does, since he is not a monk. Ignoring his concern, she places her hand on his body and then lays her head on his chest. She notices his pounding heart and guesses that the poor lad is freaking out. Alarmed, he in turn wonders whether she isn't nervous about the whole situation. Hilarious, right? Now she's the one with the nerves. She completely overpowers him and then boldly claims that she is, of course, fidgety. She gently lifts his hand and urges him to see it himself. Gradually, she brings his hand closer to her heart, but he quickly pulls away and instead pins her to the bed. The classic dodge and pin move. A true romance hero. As he hovers over her, and astonished Hikari wonders about his intentions. He abashedly looks away and blurts out to know the direction of the toilet. A man's gotta do what a man's gotta do, escape to the toilet. A stunned Hikari stares at him blankly and then directs him to the end of the first floor's corridor. Instantly, he flees from the scene, leaving Hikari in a daze, running for his life. A true hero's journey. On his way, his mind is in a battle between whether the situation is bad or if he is overthinking. He recalls that although Hikari and he were close from the beginning, he is clueless about what would have happened if things had taken their natural flow. Who knows? Maybe they'd be playing Monopoly right now instead. A puffed-up face of Chikage flashes in his mind, reminding him of her super wrath if they had taken a step beyond without her. His mind begins to spin at thinking about the bizarre aspects of dating twins. Dating twins, is it a blessing or a curse? Honestly, it's both. But he doesn't know that another massive hit is waiting for him as a nearly bare, fully drenched Chikage pops out of the bathroom door, looking at him in confusion. A distressed Sakudo knows that he is in trouble. Chikage panics at his sudden arrival, and a flustered Sakudo quickly backs away. It's certainly one way to make an entrance: panic and retreat. Hysterical, Chikage drops down to cover herself and demands to know why he's there. When Sakudo stands frozen in shock, she shouts at him to look away because she's changing. She's a pro at turning a casual moment into a full-blown drama. He apologetically turns around. He decides to stay in the toilet to her relief. Later, a humiliated Sakudo frets over sitting on the toilet seat since what he feared the most actually happened. This is what you get for trusting that nothing weird ever happens during dates. He reasons to himself that he wasn't expecting Chikage home since she was supposed to go shopping, but she probably came soon because of the downpour. He begins to feel uneasy, wondering how long he has to stay in the loo. Thankfully, there is a knock on the door followed by Chikage's voice informing him that she is done changing. Relief, but only for a second. He hesitantly opens the door and finds a meek-looking Chikage standing outside. She declares the whole mishap as an accident to his relief, but still he apologizes for entering the bathroom area without thinking, but she blames herself for opening the toilet door so recklessly. Classic case of the we're both at fault defense. Then she expresses her curiosity about his presence at her place. After he explains the previous events, she realizes that he is on a house date with Hikari. He apologizes again for entering her house without an invitation. Sakudo, my dude, you should have just brought a formal apology card. She assures him that she has no issues with that, but really hopes that he hasn't done anything cheesy yet. Instantly, the creepy scene flashes in his mind. Poor guy is now permanently affected by that mental image. She stares at him intently and tells him not to change the topic. She is aware that he doesn't seem to be the kind of person who is easily blown away by female charms. Chikage warns him to run away if Hai-chan makes a move on him. He is fleeing right now, but cannot say so. Chikage reads his mind and pushes him out, stating that he shouldn't make her sister wait. As he gratefully leaves the bathroom, she informs him that she will be in her room and assures him that she won't be eavesdropping. An embarrassed Sakudo is already aware of this. At this point, he's just trying not to combust from awkwardness. Poor lad has already gone through a lot in the last few minutes and is kinda apprehensive about going back to Hikari. He knows that his toilet trip has gotten longer than expected, and he shouldn't have let her wait for so long. He plans to reveal the truth that Chikage is home, and as soon as he gleefully announces his arrival, he is thunderstruck to see a scantily dressed Hikari waiting for him. Heart attack warning. Hikari in questionable attire. With a rosy smile, she welcomes him heartily, but a shocked Sakudo nearly has a heart attack seeing her like that. She cheekily apologizes and reasons that she is still changing, but an embarrassed Sakudo turns away, urging her to put on something fast. She obliges readily, but before that hugs his back affectionately, exclaiming that she was lonely. A sharp streak of electric current passes through his body. As she playfully pulls him tight, he hysterically shouts at her to put on something first, but she ignores his pleas, explaining that she wants to stop him from running away. He frantically blurts out about Chikage's in the next room. Can someone get this guy a map? He's lost in the maze of awkwardness. An unaffected Hikari reminds him about Chikage's plan of not returning him until night. He tries to explain how she returned home due to the rain, when suddenly Chikage barges inside, curious about the ruckus. Right, so Chikage is essentially a guard at the gates. She is shocked to see Hikari in a questionable two-piece. Hikari tries to explain, but Chikage quickly grabs her arm and drags her outside despite her pleas. Chikage has entered big sister mode with full force. She requests that Sakuda wait in the living room while she knocks some sense into her sister's brain. A terror-struck Sakuda readily cooperates with a forced smile, totally certain that she is super mad at Hikari. When he is gone, Chikage reprimands Hikari for not considering Sakuda's feelings, and Hikari assures her that she will think about that. A nice chat between sisters, except for Sakuda's heart still pounding in the other room. Later, a flushed Sakuda is sandwiched between the twins, who are strangely dressed in bunny costumes. For the response, the two smile mischievously at him. Earlier, when he was waiting in the living room, the twins suddenly popped up wearing bunny suits. Bunny suits? Guess we're on a whole new level now. Hikari portrays that the suits will make him feel happier. He frantically reminds them about their idea of considering his feelings. Feelings? What is this, a proper date or an episode of fashionable chaos? Chikage sheepishly reveals that she just copied Hikari. He points at her plan to some sense to Hikari's brain. Hikari cheerfully announces the time for a game tournament. Sakuda cannot believe that she will be gaming in this ridiculous outfit, a bunny suit, and a game tournament. No one warned him about this. Meanwhile, Chikage decides to prepare some snacks, again in that wacky outfit. Soon, the trio huddle together for a blaster game. Snacks? Yeah, the only thing missing is popcorn at this point. The following week after their dates, Sakuda's life has been completely transformed. During lunch break, when Chikage sits down with Sakuda to share his bento, he wonders whether she hasn't brought her own. Sakuda's logic. What's with the sharing? Shouldn't she have her own food? Slightly annoyed, she wonders whether she cannot eat with her own boyfriend. He clarifies that earlier she was always concerned about her reputation. Chikage explains that she doesn't mind being misunderstood. In fact, she was just testing his determination. Yes, the test your boyfriend's patience move. Classic. Still, he advises her to be cautious so that they don't attract unnecessary attention. She responsibly states that she will definitely avoid the hand-feeding. When school is over, a cheerful Hikari is waiting for Sakuda. She suggests going for an after-school date. After-school date? She's really pushing the quality time envelope here. Chikage sternly points out that she missed school again, and Hikari sheepishly responds with a smile. Sakuda notices that, despite skipping school, she is still wearing a uniform, indicating her intention to attend school. Hikari is secretly a time traveler. She just skips school in style. When she hangs on Sakuda's arm affectionately, Chikage yells at her for being too clingy. Hikari retorts that she has been doing the same at school, but Chikage frantically denies, explaining that the whole school will know if they do so. Chikage's biggest fear, becoming the school's weird couple with an even weirder reputation. A flushed Hikari invites her to join them because it appears that only Sakuda and she are dating. Chikage thinks it over and realizes Hikari is right. It would make things feel more balanced. But a nervous Sakuda quickly warns her not to listen. Once the three are together, Hikari excitedly announces plans for their Saturday date next week. She suggests a 2-day trip to a hot spring with a foot bath. Foot baths and hot springs. This date screams awkward. Meanwhile, Sakuda feels oddly envious of himself, enjoying such cheerful days with the twins. But just as things seem perfect, Chikage suddenly announces she won't be free next week. Sakuda is reminded of how short-lived happiness can be. Later, the girls are still adorned in their costumes and are having a little chit-chat. Chikage hesitantly queries Hikari about going too far with Sakuda, but Hikari casually shrugs off, claiming that it was a fun experience. Fun experience? Yeah, for everyone except Sakuda, apparently. Slightly offended, Chikage reprimands her that if she hadn't barged in, Hikari would have definitely crossed her limits. But Hikari chuckles aloofly, igniting her wrath further. She sternly orders her to stop laughing and demands an answer. Chikage's super wrath mode activated. Hikari artfully reverts the whole thing on Chikage, pointing out that she hasn't recounted her own date yet. A bewildered Chikage deflates quickly and stammers that her date went well, all thanks to her expert guidance. Hikari lets out a dazzling smile, claiming that she is happy as long as she is happy. Expert guidance? Sounds like wingwoman-level stuff. Hikari gratefully thanks her sister, and the latter assures her that she can always rely on her. Chikage wonders whether from the next day onwards she will be joining school or not. Hikari squirms uncomfortably, stating that, although being with Chikage and Sakuda will be a pleasant experience, due to her large number of absences, she might have been suspended. Plot twist. The twins might have to make a trio at school now. Chikage cannot help but agree and mentions that even Sakuto is concerned about that matter. An excited Hikari guesses that he is worried because she is her girlfriend. Chikage stares at her momentarily and reveals that even if she were not, he would still be concerned. Shocking revelation. He's a decent human being, not just a boyfriend. Hikari is awestruck and then breaks into a big beam, confessing her fondness for him. Chikage reminds her that she is his girlfriend. Soon, they both decide to change and take a shower before their parents come home. While in the bath, an amused Hikari recalls how cute a shaken Sakuto looked. With a bored expression, Chikage retorts that his reaction was natural. Hikari protests that even Chikage clung to him in that questionable attire, but she defends herself by mentioning that she was stuck in an unavoidable situation. Hikari sarcastically declares that some people are lucky, but a flustered Chikage insists that her situation was unavoidable. One day, Sakuto goes to a karaoke bar with the twins. Hikari confidently goes first, singing a recent hit with ease. Despite it being a new release, her performance is flawless. She then passes the mic to Chikage, who hesitates but ends up singing beautifully. Sakuto is impressed, though Hikari isn't surprised. Then Hikari suggests a game. Whoever gets the two lowest scores must share a kiss. Sakuto panics. It's his first time singing, and he's sure to lose. But he suspects Hikari and Chikage might try to lose on purpose just to tease each other. Both girls declare they won't lose, turning it into a full-on rivalry. Sakuto decides to give it his all. When the scores come in, Hikari gets 92, Chikage 90, and Sakuto shocks everyone with a perfect 100. He explains he just focused on rhythm and pitch. The girls, frustrated and blushing, call him a monster. Now, with no choice, they inch closer for the forfeit kiss. Meanwhile, he looks away, realizing that despite winning, it somehow feels like he lost. Sakuto and Hikari are surprised to hear about the Aizai Matsuri. Chikage explains it's a joint event for daycares linked to Arusayama Academy. When Hikari asks if she's participating, Chikage says yes. That's why she's unavailable for their date next week. Hikari is curious, since Chikage isn't on the student council or any executive team. A flustered Chikage explains that Tachibana-sensei pushed her into it. Originally, it was a joint project run by volunteer high schoolers to build connections, but as interest faded over the years, the event was reduced to a small-scale kindergarten activity. Despite that, it couldn't be canceled, and now it's fallen to Chikage, the reliable honor student. Sakuto wonders why no one else can handle it, but Chikage explains that once she commits to something, she does her best. Hikari then asks where the other school is. Chikage says it's Yuki Academy. Sakuto immediately tenses up at the name. Chikage encourages them to enjoy their date without her, but Sakuto and Hikari exchange uncertain glances. Later, Sakuto visits Tachibana-sensei. She immediately guesses he came to talk about Chikage's involvement in the event. Sakuto is stunned. It's like she read his mind. He worries she might know about his complicated relationship with Chikage. Amused, Sensei explains that when asked to volunteer, Chikage accidentally blurted out Sakuto's name, implying she had plans with him. Plus, she's seen them together around school. Sensei asks if they really had plans. Sakuto admits they did, but not just with her. She seems confused and asks what he really came for. Sakuto directly asks why Chikage was chosen. Sensei explains her honesty, top grades, and most importantly, her strong dedication. She reveals that Chikage's grades weren't always impressive. She improved drastically in one summer, possibly due to cram schooler by someone she met, but her biggest flaw is getting too focused on one thing. Sensei hopes this event gives her broader experience and balance. Sakuto is relieved and confirms she's not forcing Chikage into it. Sensei replies she was actually pushed into it herself by another teacher. As Sakuto is about to leave, she suddenly mentions that Kusanagi Yuzuki and Matsuke Shun will represent Yuki Academy. Sakuto freezes. Those names hit hard. Sensei knows he's a Yuki Academy graduate and asks if he knows them. Without turning around, he says they were his classmates, but feels uneasy about her reason for telling. Sensei shrugs off. The story shifts back in time when Sakuto used to study at Yuki Academy. In his 4th year of primary school, everybody thought of him as an eccentric person who never spoke, let alone displayed any emotions. He admits that he lagged in putting his thoughts into words and in reading others. He was popularly nicknamed a robot because of his inexpressiveness. Although the adults were very considerate, somehow he was always a misfit everywhere. Despite the oddities, he was an above-average student and sportsman. Also, he loved his own company. One day, a friendly young girl named Kusanagi Yuzuki offered him to play. Since then, she occasionally invited him to play with her. Her offer always took him by surprise, since he always considered himself a nerd. Somehow, she read his mind and sincerely expressed her wish to get along with him. Suddenly, he had this urge to become a normal kid. Normal kids apparently have a secret recipe, a pinch of courage and a whole lot of snacks. He wanted to live a life where he could make friends and could show more emotions. He even expressed his thoughts to his mother, and she decided to get help. After examining, the psychiatrist concluded that he had an exceptional IQ and much more retention power than an average person. Basically, his brain was a supercomputer stuck in airplane mode. The doctor believed that the stress caused by his two qualities was causing a hindrance to his emotional expression. After that, he visited several specialists, but the result was more or less the same. But one day, something unexpected happened. Spoiler alert, it didn't involve a dancing llama. There was a horrific car accident in front of him, and the woman behind the wheel was badly injured. At that time, Yuzuki was accompanying him and was panic-stricken. But he remained composed and began to analyze the whole situation. He realized that very soon the car would burst into flames. He asked Yuzuki to fetch an adult, and she quickly obliged. In no time, the unconscious woman was safely pulled out of the car, and instantly, the car blew up. You know things are serious when the car has more drama than a soap opera. An awestruck Yuzuki praises him, declaring him a hero. Now that felt awkward to him since he never liked TV heroes as they handled everything with violence in the name of justice. However, if heroes could save people in trouble, then that was acceptable to him. He made up his mind that if he can't be normal, then he can always be a hero. One day, a classmate sulked at his results, claiming that tests were becoming more and more grinding. Others assured him that he scored well, but he dejectedly pointed at Sakudo, who had scored all A's, because nothing says grinding like trying to remember what you had for breakfast. Yuzuki acknowledged Sakudo's brilliance. Sakudo recalled that Yuzuki was part of the group that mocked him by calling him a robot. However, she, being a timid person, didn't say anything and merely stood there faking a chuckle. Fake laughter. The official language of "I'm too polite to roast you." Now he understood that she was faking it because she was unable to stand up for him. But he lived in a world where Yuzuki called him a hero and continued to work hard without hesitation. Unfortunately, he would later learn that the reality was harsher than he expected. Reality, the sequel no one asked for, but everyone gets. The story now shifts back to the present, where it's raining in buckets as the sky gets darker. Ikari is sharing an umbrella with Sakudo and expresses her concern about Chikage, who had returned home later than usual yesterday. Also, she had felt something different about her, because nothing says mystery like wet hair and a suspicious glare. She elaborates that she appeared melancholic and somewhat annoyed. She queries him about whether something happened at school. He explains that she seemed engaged during the break as well, so they didn't have the chance to talk. School drama, the only place where engaged means something entirely different. Hikari is not convinced and is certain that something is wrong with her sister, since she has the habit of carrying all the burden on her shoulders. Sakudo gulps nervously, thinking about the two participants from Yuki Academy, and suddenly he has a terrible feeling about the whole thing. Gut feelings, basically your brain's way of sending an emergency text. He suggests spending some time at the arcade. She is flabbergasted, wondering whether it wasn't prohibited to go there. He explains that he just wants to cheer her up out of her mood. Arcades, the original mood lifters before TikTok took over. Soon, they come across a pair of cute little bunny plushies. She blurts out about how adorable they are, and he assumes that she really likes rabbits. She affirms that it comes to her naturally since she is a Usami, as in Japan, rabbits are called Usagi. Ikari slips a coin into the slot. The clutches gets activated, and she tries to grab the bunnies. Unfortunately, she is unable to do so. Classic claw machine, the ultimate test of hope and frustration. He is inquisitive about the one she likes, and she points at the black one, intending to present it to Chikage. Sakudo notices that the twins get along quite well. Hikari affirms and mentions that they don't get into catfights. Twins, proof that not all siblings are born to fight over the last slice of pizza. Seeing the iron hot, he decides to strike it by expressing his curiosity about why she doesn't join school with Chikage. She sheepishly admits thinking about this issue since elementary school. She reveals that during her 4th year of elementary school, she really got along with 2 girls, but for some reason they began to fight with each other. This freaked her out, so she isolated herself for a few days. Elementary school friendships. as stable as a Jenga tower on a windy day. When she returned to school, those two girls anxiously rushed towards her. It dawned on her that those two were actually fighting over her. However, when they got worried about her, the two got along. To confirm his assumptions, he asks her whether that is the reason she is afraid to attend school. She answers with a sigh, stating that she thought the environment got bizarre because of her. Sometimes, the weirdest thing is just caring too much about what others think. She claims that for this reason, she admires Chikage for being so brave despite being alone. Even though she wants to accompany her to school, her legs won't move. Next, she asks him whether she can open up to him. When he agrees, she reveals that Chikage once told her that she was terror-stricken, and standing out cannot be necessarily bad, but it is kinda intimidating. He concludes that both Chikage and Hikari are more or less similar. Like two sides of the same coin, except one side hides snacks. But she reasons that their fears are different and the situations are varied as well. He explains that they are all carrying different problems, and they have to face their fears one day. He continues that sometimes they won't have a choice but to rely on others, as even heroes have to rely on their sidekicks, let alone normal human beings like themselves. Even Batman needed Robin, so you're off the hook. With that, he offers her his hand, and she readily places hers on his, wondering whether he considers her a normal human being. He declares her a genius instead. Thoroughly amused, she suspects that he is pulling her leg. With flushed cheeks and a coy smile, she admits that she got her answer when she first met him. Nothing like a good leg pull to keep things interesting. Seeing his confusion, Hikari reminds Sakudo that he confessed his love to both her and Chikage after learning they were twins. Embarrassed, he recalls how ridiculous he sounded, but she reassures him. To her, his words were thoughtful. He considered both their feelings and didn't want to hurt either of them. She holds his hands, noting that he always treated them as friends first. Hikari regrets not being mature enough to stop the tension between them and thanks Sakudo for helping her see that. She laughs, admitting she once thought, "Why not just date us both?" was the perfect solution. Sakudo agrees that while it may seem absurd, Hikari's idea ensured no one was left out or hurt. Hikari smiles, saying it was his honesty that inspired the idea. She could tell he was carrying the same burden she was. Sakudo, surprised it all led to this, hears her call it the best confession ever. Then stepping forward, he slips a coin into a toy vending machine and says it's his turn. As he places his hand on the button, he reflects. Maybe choosing just one is the logical answer, but having both of them makes him genuinely happy, because sometimes life's best moments come in pairs like socks or bunny plushies. With that, to her immense delight, he manages to grab both the white and black bunny with the clutcher. He places both the bunnies on her hand and explains that he did that not because of one or the other, but because of both. He believes that no one should be left alone and heartily wishes that all three of them should remain together. Next, he insists that they both must help Chikage. Chikage is in a meeting with the two representatives of Yuki Academy, Kusanagi Yuzuki and Matsuke Shun, and there she raises a question about whether Arasuyama Academy is solely responsible for preparing everything in a limited time period. Shun raises his eyebrow, thinking that maybe she is backing out, but Chikage only wishes to get their help as well. Shun blames everything on her motivation level. Motivation? More like caffeine shortage. When Chikage appears perplexed, he sighs and reveals that he only joined this project because it seemed fun. And now he can see how dull it is since only 3 people have opted for it. He tries to get Yuzuki's acknowledgement of his statement, but a jittery Yuzuki only stammers. He blatantly proposes that they will only be showering her with ideas while she will be executing them. Sounds like a teamwork where only one person actually does work. A dejected Chikage realizes how weak she is. Suddenly, someone calls out for her attention, and she can recognize that soothing voice anywhere since it always stirred the strings of her heart. She is startled to see Sakudo. Plot twist. The soothing voice also delivers pizza. Both Shun and Yuzuki are shocked to see Sakudo, and Chikage is unsure about his presence there. With a grin, he declares that it is time to get serious. He reveals that he knew she was troubled, so he came to help. He then apologizes for being late, because nothing says help like showing up fashionably late. A mellow smile appears on Chikage's face when, like a bolt from the blue, a flushed Hikari pops up from behind. She blurts out that they came here for her rescue operation. Rescue operation or surprise party? The suspense is killing me. Next, she presents her with the cute bunny plushie. Sheepishly, Hikari apologizes to her for making her a worrier all the time. She promises that from now onward she will do her best. Translation: expect less worrying, more snacks. Tears well up in Chikage's eyes, and she quickly embraces her sister passionately. Sakuto is touched to see the sisters' emotional bonding in front of him. Meanwhile, Shun calls out for his attention and wonders what a study robot weirdo like him is doing here. Study Robot 3000, now with sarcasm mode. He tries to push him away, claiming that he has no business here. Both Hikari and Chikage are astonished to hear such bitter words from his mouth. Sakuto boldly breaks to him that he is not an outsider here, and they both inform Sensei before joining this committee. Committee meeting or reality TV show? You decide. When Shun appears baffled, Hikari introduces herself as Chikage's older sister. While exchanging pleasantries with Shun, she calls him Matsuda-kun instead of Matsuke's. When Sakuto corrects her, she pretends to regret her mistake, to his amusement. Name mix-up level: expert. Jeeringly, she questions Shun about the term study robot. He scornfully explains that Sakuto cannot do anything except study like a robot. As usual, he seeks confirmation from Yuzuki, who nervously plays with her hair and stammers. Hikari smiles meaningfully and accuses Shun of being jealous of Sakuto. An annoyed Shun urges her to repeat her insulting statement, and Hikari does that louder than before, wondering whether he is facing hearing loss. She declares him a person who likes to pull down those above him. Sounds like someone needs a hobby, or better headphones. She even believes that he has a superiority complex, and that's why he surrounds himself with weak and timid people. She condemns him for calling people insulting nicknames and terms him an idiot who can't study and zip his mouth. A furious Shun screams at her for blabbering nonsense. He claims to have known Sakuto longer than her and restrains her from interfering. An unaffected Hikari claims to be deeply involved with Sakuto and emphasizes that she has the right to interfere. Sibling logic 101. If it's family, it's fair game. She believes that he is afraid to admit his greatness, and that's why she keeps on mocking him. She comes intimidatingly closer to Shun and accuses him of displaying fake superiority over Sakuto. Sakuto gently touches her shoulder, telling her to stop, and she does so. Even the study robot knows when to hit pause. Next, he asks Shun to show him the progress in the project so far. Soon, Chikage gives him the update on the plan. A shocked Hikari accuses Shun and Yuzuki of putting all the burden on her sister's shoulders. Classic dump the work on the quiet one move. Yuzuki jolts in surprise. Meanwhile, Sakuto is doubtful about their seriousness regarding this project. Shun wonders whether he has a problem because he thought the kindergartners would like it. Sakuto explains that the real issue lies with the lack of manpower, and if this were just like last year's Aizai Festival, where there were very few events, even 3 people would have been enough. Sakuto eyes the long list of events, game tournament, puppet show, and more, and points out the gap between what they want to do and what they can actually manage. Shun weakly protests, "We can always try our best." Optimism level, beginner. Sakuto replies that Chikage shouldn't be left to carry everything. Shun snaps, accusing him of trying to impress the twins, and sarcastically calls him a robot. This time, Sakuto snaps back. He's not a robot, and neither are the twins. Plot twist, robot has feelings too. Shun, caught off guard, wonders why Sakuto keeps saying that. Sakuto reminds him of his earlier statement that since Arashiyama has only one representative, they should follow Yuki Academy's lead. Shun, panicking, "Wait, I said that. Must have been the coffee talking." Sakuto calmly points out that Yuki now has the majority, so by Shun's own logic, he and Yuzuki should follow their ideas. Shun meekly protests, "That's not what I meant." Sakuto claps, announces it'll be a joint event, and says there's no point trying to outdo each other. Teamwork makes the dream work, or at least makes it bearable. He says they'll lead the project together, but the work will be split evenly. Shun is speechless. Yuzuki tugs at his sleeve and softly suggests agreeing. "When your only ally is your shirt." Shun sighs and agrees. Sakuto then assigns Chikage to lead a team with Hikari, while he pairs with Shun and Yuzuki. The twins cheerfully approve. Divide and conquer, or at least divide and survive. Shun reluctantly goes along. Unexpectedly, Yuzuki raises a concern. Should they really leave a big chunk of the project to the twins without any guidance? Sakuto immediately affirms, mentioning that the girls are amazing and that's why he trusts them more than anyone else. Trust level, off the charts. Yuzuki is speechless and grabs her arm tightly to hold herself. Then she quickly refutes her own statement. Then the project work begins, and they all begin to execute various activities. Let the chaos commence. After a while, Sakuto announces going to the staff room for a bit. As he leaves, Yuzuki calls out for the twins' attention. She queries them about whether they found him a bit bizarre when they first met him. Bizarre? More like interesting in a weird way. The twins are astonished by her inquiry, when she looks away nervously and blurts out that back in middle school, he was a misfit. Hikari chirps in that, instead of a weirdo, Sakuto is an amazing person and has the capability to transform this world like a hero. In a daze, Yuzuki repeats the word hero in her head, sending her into a nostalgic state. Cue dramatic music. Chikage adds with a smile that he always looks for them, and they feel safe around him, which is why he is their hero. Both the twins vigorously nod to their precious thoughts about Sakuto. A perplexed Yuzuki wonders how the twins are different from her. Maybe they skipped the awkward phase class. Shun quietly notices her uneasiness, and then suddenly she leaves the room. She finally finds Sakuto and calls out to him. He is surprised to see her and looks at her inquisitively. Plot twist number 2. More feelings involved. She coyly mentions that she just wanted to know about his well-being since she couldn't do that in front of everybody. He assures her that he is fine. She lowers her gaze nervously and apologizes to him for acting like a jerk at that first meeting. She even apologizes to him about something that happened during middle school. He curtly stops her in the middle and assures her that everything is okay. He quickly diverts the topic by wondering about her school life and whether she is having fun. Smooth change of subject. Master level. When she affirms, he cheerfully informs her that he is having the time of his life here as well. She guesses that it might be because of the twins, and he affirms. She states that they must do their best the next day, and he agrees. Meanwhile, they are both completely unaware that the nosy twins are snooping on their conversation. Hikari suspects something fishy between Yuzuki and Sakuto. She makes a wild guess about her being his ex, and poor Chikage is uneasy. The next day, the Aizai festival begins in full swing. Sakuto is surprised to discover the immense popularity enjoyed by the twins, and he shares his thoughts with Tachibana-sensei. She mockingly mentions the time when Hikari was found at the arcade, and he chuckles amusingly. Arcade legends never die. She states that she also appreciates the work done by Shun and him, and expresses her immense gratitude. Sakuto points out that it is not over yet. Tachibana emphasizes that she is thankful not only for the event, but for bringing Hikari onto the right path. From arcade to puppet master, quite the glow-up. She recalls Hikari being afraid to stand out, and wonders what changed her so drastically. She stares at her energetically performing a puppet show in front of the kids with Chikage, and is surprised at her sudden change of mindset. He modestly reasons that his body moved on its own. When in doubt, blame the body. Tachibana guesses that he just followed his heart. He is slightly anxious about whether it is something weird, but she assures him that it was a very normal reaction. However, she does mention that his normal is quite different from hers. Normal is overrated anyway. Next, she queries him about having a proper talk with Shun and Yuzuki. She believes that since he belongs to their school, they might have a lot to catch up on, but he scoffs sarcastically. Catch up or catch a cold? After a fun-filled day, the Aizai Matsuri comes to an end. He happily notices how the two are surrounded by the kindergarten teachers. It is then that someone calls out to him. Nope, not a fire drill, just drama. He turns around and finds a jittery Yuzuki standing in front of him, unable to meet his eyes. Meanwhile, Sakuto pats his pocket, thinking about the letter he has written, and wonders whether he should give it to her now. She tries to speak up, but no words come out of her mouth. The classic "my voice took a day off" moment. Suddenly, Shun comes along and informs her that he is heading home, when he is surprised to see Sakuto standing in front of her. He is suspicious about the thing going on between the two, but both quickly clarify the matter. Shun uncomfortably gazes at Yuzuki, and then questions Sakuto about him having a high school debut or something. Sakuto is taken aback by his odd question when he explains that he seems transformed a lot from the way he was in middle school. Sakuto appears to be in deep thought, and then, with a smile, he makes a revelation that the credit goes to both Yuzuki and Shun. Yuzuki further lowers herself in shame while Shun stares at him quizzically. Plot twist. Teamwork actually works. Sakuto quickly avoids the discussion and expresses his gratitude for the fantastic time he had. Shun then asks Yuzuki to head home. As they both head towards the gate, Sakuto suspects that this will probably be the last time he will ever talk to Yuzuki, when suddenly her steps freeze midway and she turns around towards him. Freeze frame. To his bewilderment, she shoots in with a question about whether they will be meeting again. With a composed smile, he responds that they will if there is an opportunity. As usual, the nosy Parkers are snooping on him from behind the bushes, when out of the blue, Sakuto turns around and jokingly asks them about their issue. Bushes, the original social media. Chikage yells in frustration, suspecting that Yuzuki might be Sakuto's ex-fling. Still, Sakuto is flabbergasted by their sudden attack, so she points out that it was all Hikari's idea. He turns towards Hikari, who explains that the whole thing seems suspicious to her. Sibling teamwork, always stirring the pot. He clarifies that Yuzuki is his childhood friend. The twins hear him out in a stupor. He reveals that he owes everything to Yuzuki for the person he has become. Plot twist, childhood friends forever. When they probe him further, he sighs heavily and decides to open up his past once again on their way home. In his third year of middle school, Sakuto has become quite distant from Yuzuki, as he wanted to become the hero she has always believed him to be. Many people still call him a robot and make fun of him for studying all the time. Robots get no respect, especially if they are boring. He is still called expressionless, and people cannot figure out what he is thinking. One day, he recalls that Yuzuki's birthday is coming up and ponders the present he should give her. Out of the blue, Yuzuki comes over and nervously asks him to follow her as she wants to have a word with him. Plotting or proposing? Soon they are in the school grounds, where she tells him how she has liked him for a long time. With a flushed face, she asks him out. Sakuto is taken aback by that sudden proposal. Why are you hiding your own feelings, or just playing hard to get? He bluntly asks if she's confessing because someone made her do it. Who invited the spy? A panic-stricken Yuzuki stares at him wide-eyed. Sakuto, recalling the recent buzz about punishment-gained confessions, suspects she's part of one. Yuzuki is stunned. Sakuto doesn't blame her. It's clear she was pushed into it as part of a silly game. Forced confessions, middle school specialty. Unbelievably, he smiles at her, the same way she smiled at him the first time they spoke. Terrified, Yuzuki bolts, frantically apologizing as she runs. Left behind, a shaken Sakuto tells himself it's fine, but deep down he feels a sharp, unfamiliar pain. Tears well and fall. Turns out heartbreak isn't just for poets and fools. He realizes he's no longer a robot. He's finally become the normal person he always wanted to be. Later, the twins express sympathy for how he was treated in middle school, but Sakuto says he holds no grudge against Yuzuki. In fact, thanks to her, he learned to express himself. Grudges are exhausting anyway. He did go through a heartbreak, but it dawned on him that at least he had a heart. Also, he blames everything on his inability to express, which gave other people the opportunity to tease him. He is aware that a weak-willed Yuzuki had no choice but to obey at that time, and in this way even she was a victim. Sakuto's other name is Optimism Max Level. He points at his pocket and reveals that he has written a letter to Yuzuki, but never got a chance to give it to her. It occurs to him that probably it is for the best, and he is about to rip it off. Suddenly, Hikari energetically snatches the letter from his grip and mentions that the letter contains his feelings. Sibling rescue mission. Activated. She declares that she will hold on to it until he decides to give it to her. He is not so certain about it, thinking that such an opportunity will rarely appear. He continues that in order to get away from Yuzuki's guilty looks, he decided to attend a cram school far away from Yuki Academy. The easiest way out, close your eyes and flee. It was there he met Chikage for the first time, and now he feels that everything happens for the best. He believes that the nail that sticks out always gets hammered, and at the end of the hammering, the one who was there for him was someone important. But he recalls how he collided with Chikage, and after that, met Hikari. From hammered nail to glued friends. He uncovers that after that, his thinking style changed a lot. He abruptly stands up, claiming that he wants to change. Plot twist. Someone's mind flipped big time. The astonished twins wonder about the way he wants to change. He suggests turning the nail upside down with the sharp end facing up. He aims to be a boyfriend who is a source of pride to both Hikari and Chikage. Sharp and proud sounds like a plan. But before he can continue, he is bewildered as the tearful twins throw themselves at him in an affectionate embrace. As they sob uncontrollably, he anxiously wonders about their well-being. Poor Sakuto is in a fix as he is clueless about how to react in front of wailing people. You can seek advice from new mothers of ever-wailing newborns, but then he recalls something he learned from Yuzuki, Hikari, and Chikage. His lips break into a tender smile, and he hurriedly expresses his gratitude to them. He suggests that they all should get along from now on. Teamwork makes the dream work. The flushed twins stare at him blankly, and then oblige. The next morning, Tachibana-sensei announces that from now on, she will be posting the rankings of the proficiency test. She warns them that photography is prohibited and uploading to SNS or the like is forbidden as well. No selfies with test papers allowed. She emphasizes that even if it is rare, the students shouldn't dare take pictures. Soon, the results are posted, and the trio is delighted that each one of them has gotten perfect scores in their respective classes and has secured first positions. Chikage is startled since her name doesn't come before them, even with the same score. The competitive streak in her is deeper than anything. Sakuto explains that it cannot be helped as it follows class order. Hikari is thrilled that Sakuto's name is placed between hers and Chikage's. A flustered Sakuto quietly asks them not to be too clingy in public. Hikari winks and whispers that being openly close will make people less likely to suspect they're actually dating. Chikage joins in, clinging to him even more. They ask again if he can truly love both of them. He responds with a warm, genuine smile. The trio heads to the cafeteria, avoiding the crowd gathering around the ranking boards in the corridor. Unnoticed by them, a mysterious girl watches them intently.